Hiding too well. The whole family stands in a circle. Mom is blindfolded, facing the wall. Dad and the two kids look at each other, smiling mischievously. Dad runs off quickly and hides behind the curtain. The sister hides behind the sofa. The brother looks around, then crawls under the bed, pulling a blanket with him. Mom turns around and starts searching. Mom pulls the curtain. Dad is found. Mom peeks behind the sofa. The sister is found. The two who are found stand to the side, giggling. Mom looks around. The brother is missing. She searches everywhere. Behind the door, behind the chairs. In another room, nothing. They look under the table, behind the cabinets. Suddenly, a very soft snoring sound is heard. The whole family turns. Under the bed, the brother has fallen asleep, arms hugging a pillow, mouth slightly open. Mom and Dad look at each other, shake their heads in disbelief. The sister holds her belly, giggling. Sharing living room. Two kids are playing with their toys. Toys are scattered all over the floor. They start arguing over each toy, pulling back and forth, tense faces. No one wants to give in. Mom walks over, gentle but firm. She takes the toy from the son and gives it to the daughter. The daughter hugs the toy, happier. The son stands still, lowers his head, looking sad. Mom gently pats the son's head and walks away. Nighttime. The bedroom door opens quietly. Mom and Dad step in, carrying a big gift box. They set the box down. Open the lid. Inside is a box full of toys. The kids sit up suddenly, eyes shining. The son completely forgets his anger. Both kids laugh and reach into the box together. Dad puts an arm around Mom. The family sits close together, warm and happy. The secret camping trip. The two kids are fast asleep in bed. Mom and Dad look at each other and signal, "Let's go!" They tiptoe quietly, grab their backpacks, and sneak out of the house. Outside at night, Mom and Dad set up a small tent and turn on a warm yellow light. They sit across from each other, eating grilled food and laughing comfortably. Back at home, one child stirs and wakes up, looks at the other bed, empty. The two kids grab small flashlights and quietly sneak outside. From far away, they spot the glow of a tent light. They hide behind some bushes and peek in. They see Mom and Dad happily eating. The two kids look at each other and get an idea. They drape white cloths over themselves and shine flashlights upward from below. From behind the tent, spooky ooh sounds are made. Mom and Dad jump in surprise and turn around. Dad drops the food. Mom clings to Dad. Both panic and hurriedly pack up. Abandon the tent. Run back home. The kids pull off the cloths, giggling. They run after Mom and Dad. Dad holds the controller. The child holds a remote-controlled airplane. They look at each other, grinning with excitement. The airplane takes off, flying in circles, gliding past the sofa, looping around the light. The child points and cheers Dad pilots confidently. The airplane flies lower and faster. Dad keeps twisting the control stick. The child runs after it, laughing. The airplane starts to lose control. From the kitchen, Mom walks out, carrying a tray of food. At that exact moment, the plane zooms in. Mom! It hits Mom's arm. The food tray tilts. Mom freezes. Dad and the child stare, eyes wide. They both turn and run as fast as they can. One runs ahead, the other follows. The airplane falls to the floor and lies still. Mom stands there, hands on her hips. She watches them run, then sighs, shakes her head, and smiles softly. Dad sets a phone tablet on the counter and plays a cooking tutorial video. On the screen, a calm chef, spotless kitchen, smooth movements. Dad nods confidently. Dad looks at the screen, looks at the pan. On the video, neatly chopping vegetables. In real life, Dad chops. Vegetables scatter onto the floor. Dad glances back at the screen, still confident. On the video, low heat, no smoke. In real life, smoke fills the kitchen. The stove beeps, beep, beep. Dad coughs and waves his hands, trying to fan the smoke away. Mom walks into the kitchen. She stops, silently observes. Messy counter smoke everywhere. Dad covered in splatters. The video still playing calmly. Mom crosses her arms, says nothing. Quick cuts, video screen, a perfect dish. Real life, a burnt pan and messy stove. Dad looks at the screen, looks at the pan, smiles awkwardly. Our little vegetable garden. Mom holds a packet of seeds and points to an empty patch of soil. The whole family gathers around, nodding excitedly. Dad uses a shovel, swings too hard, dirt flies everywhere. Bluey giggles. Bingo digs carefully with a small trowel. Mom hands out seeds. Bluey sprinkles way too many in one spot. Bingo places them one by one, neatly. Dad drops the whole seed packet. Everyone looks at the pile and laughs. Bluey grabs the hose. Strong spray. Dad gets soaked. Dad freezes, dripping wet. Bingo gently adjusts the nozzle. Soft water flows. The family crouches, staring at the soil. Nothing happens. Bluey pokes the dirt, peeking inside. Mom signals, "Hey!" Tiny green sprouts pop up. Everyone's eyes widen with joy. The family harvests a small bunch of vegetables. Dad proudly lifts a bundle. Dirt falls everywhere. Mom laughs. Bluey and Bingo jump with excitement. Where's the remote? The family sits in front of the TV. Dad presses a button. Nothing happens. He looks at his hand. No remote. Dad looks around the couch. Bluey and Bingo peer at the floor. Mom crosses her arms, thinking. Quick montage. Dad lifts couch cushions. Dust flies. Bluey reaches under the couch, pulls out toys. Bingo flips pillows. Empty. Mom opens drawers. Only spoons and napkins. Mom walks into the kitchen to get water. She opens the fridge. The fridge light turns on. The remote is inside. Mom freezes. Mom walks back holding the remote. The family stares in disbelief. Mom looks at the remote, then back toward the fridge. She gives an embarrassed smile. They sit back on the couch. Dad finally turns on the TV. Mom double checks it. Freeze frame on the family laughing. Who's scared who? Bluey and Bingo peek from behind the couch, grinning mischievously. They put on silly ghost costumes, blanket plus paper eyes. The girls tiptoe dramatically. They giggle silently, covering their mouths. Dad walks by, relaxed, holding a snack. Bluey and Bingo jump out together. Arms up, ghost poses. Dad freezes, drops his snack. Trembles slightly. The girls exchange proud looks. Dad quietly grabs a blanket, turns off the lights, disappears. Bluey and Bingo look around, suddenly nervous. The room is silent. A shadow moves behind them. Suddenly, Dad jumps out wearing the blanket, making a big spooky pose. Bluey and Bingo scream silently and jump into the air. The girls run in circles. Dad chases them slowly, exaggerated and silly. Everyone slips and slides, but no one gets hurt. Bluey and Bingo hide behind Mom. Dad removes the blanket, laughing. The girls peek out, then laugh too. They all collapse onto the couch together. The family goes for a walk in a green forest. Mom and Dad look at the map, unsure. They glance at each other, slightly confused. The youngest steps forward confidently and raises a hand. I know the way. Mom and Dad nod, trusting them. The child walks in front, chest out proudly. The family follows. The path grows thicker and denser. Dad looks around, a little worried. Mom starts to slow down. The child stays very confident. The family stops in front of a large beehive on a tree. The child points, just in time. Bees fly out. Everyone freezes for 1 second. The family closes their eyes, turns around, and runs as fast as they can. Bees buzz behind them. Everyone panics. They burst through the last bushes. Light! The bees stop chasing. The family comes to a halt, breathing heavily. They open their eyes. They made it out! Mom and Dad look at the child. The child scratches their head, smiling shyly, but proudly. Following the ice cream cart, 2 kids wear their backpacks, walking along their familiar sidewalk. They laugh and chat as they walk. From a distance, the sound of an ice cream cart is heard. The kids stop, eyes lighting up. They look at each other and nod. They follow the ice cream cart. The cart stops at a few spots. The kids watch, choose their ice cream, and laugh happily. The sky slowly begins to get darker. At home, the meeting spot. Mom and Dad check the time. They look down the street. No kids. Dad tries calling. No answer. Mom starts to panic. Mom and Dad rush outside to search. From the end of the street, the 2 kids appear. Each one is holding an ice cream. They run toward Mom and Dad, smiling brightly. The kids hand the ice creams to Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad sigh with relief and bend down to hug them. Their faces still show a bit of worry, but they smile, eating ice cream together, laughing softly. Mom carries a shopping basket and steps out of the house. Dad and the younger son wave goodbye, getting ready to go out and play. On the way to the market, Mom accidentally drops an item from her bag. She doesn't notice and keeps walking. The item is left behind on the sidewalk. A little later, Dad and the younger son walk by while playing. The younger son points down at the ground. They pick up the item. Dad looks at it closely and realizes it belongs to Mom. Father and son look at each other and smile happily. Mom reaches into her bag, suddenly realizes something is missing. She turns back and searches everywhere. Looking along the road, her face grows more and more worried. Mom returns home, tired. She opens the door, looking sad. She steps inside and sees the item placed right on the table. Mom freezes for a few seconds. Dad and the younger son peek out from behind. Mom smiles with relief and hugs them both. The younger son claps happily. A small backyard garden. Dad and the son stand on one side. Mom and the daughter stand on the other. The two teams face each other and raise their fists confidently. Both teams get to work. Dad digs the soil deep and carefully. The son scatters lots of seeds. Mom plants the seeds neatly in straight rows. The daughter waters gently. Everyone is very serious. Every morning, the family comes out to check. Each day, they lean in. Nothing grows. Everyone starts to get impatient. After a few days, both garden beds are still empty. The family stands and stares. Silence for a few seconds. Dad scratches his head. Mom sighs. The two kids look at each other. Quick cut. The family pushes a cart in the supermarket. The cart is full of greens, tomatoes, and carrots. Final shot. The family is back home, laying the vegetables on the table. The two empty garden beds sit behind the house. Dad and Mom look at each other and shrug. The kids giggle. The birthday cake. Mom hangs a few simple birthday decorations. Dad and the kids exchange a look and nod. Mission time. At a bakery. Dad carefully holds a cake box, the kids walking closely on each side. All three peek at the cake and smile excitedly. On the way home, almost there. Dad bumps lightly into a passerby. The cake box slips and falls. The lid opens. The cake is smashed and ruined. Everyone freezes. Inside the house. Mom turns toward them, smiling. Dad and the kids stand in front of her, empty-handed, looking guilty and sad. Mom looks surprised, then gently pats their heads. Knock, knock. Everyone turns. Dad opens the door. The same passerby stands there, holding a brand new birthday cake, even prettier than before. The family's eyes widen. The passerby hands over the cake with a warm smile. Mom covers her mouth, touched. The kids jump with joy. Dad exhales in relief and smiles. Fixed by accident. Dad tries to start his car. Click, click. Nothing happens. Dad sighs, scratches his head. Tools in hand. He tries tightening something. The car still won't start. Dad slumps a little, discouraged. Bluey and Bingo run over, curious. Dad gently waves them back, signaling, "Don't touch." The kids nod, then glance at each other mischievously. While Dad is distracted, Bluey presses a loose button or cable. Bingo accidentally kicks a fallen tool into place. One of them closes a panel Dad forgot to shut. They don't realize what they've done and quietly step back. Dad closes the hood, shrugs, and gets into the car. Turns the key. The engine starts. Dad freezes, looks at the car, looks under the hood again, confused. Dad notices Bluey and Bingo standing proudly. He connects the dots. Dad lifts both kids into a hug. They all hop into the car together. The car drives off smoothly down the driveway. Fixed by accident. Dad tries to start his car. Click, click. Nothing happens. Dad sighs, scratches his head. Tools in hand. He tries tightening something. The car still won't start. Dad slumps a little, discouraged. Bluey and Bingo run over, curious. Dad gently waves them back, signaling, "Don't touch." The kids nod, then glance at each other mischievously. While Dad is distracted, Bluey presses a loose button or cable. Bingo accidentally kicks a fallen tool into place. One of them closes a panel Dad forgot to shut. They don't realize what they've done and quietly step back. Dad closes the hood, shrugs, and gets into the car. Turns the key. The engine starts. Dad freezes, looks at the car, looks under the hood again, confused. Dad notices Bluey and Bingo standing proudly. He connects the dots. Dad lifts both kids into a hug. They all hop into the car together. The car drives off smoothly down the driveway. The secret birthday living room. Bedroom is calm. Bingo is playing by herself. Bluey notices, gasps, puts a finger to her mouth. Shh! Bluey pulls Dad and Mom aside. The three huddle together, whispering silently. Bingo hears the noise, curious. Fast, funny montage. Bluey blows up a balloon. It slips away. Dad overinflates one. Pop! Bingo, on the way to the living room. Bluey hangs decorations, loses her grip. Streamers fall onto Dad's head. Dad stands frozen, covered in decorations, eyes darting nervously. Bingo turns back. Dad quickly hides behind the couch. Lights go out. Everyone hides. Bingo surprised, a little unsure. Lights on. Confetti bursts. Bingo's eyes widen. She beams with joy. Bluey hugs Bingo tightly. Dad carries in the birthday cake. Slips, cake tilts dangerously. Everyone rushes to save it just in time. They all laugh in relief. The little camping trip, a forest campsite. The car pulls in. The family steps out, looking around and breathing in the fresh air. Dad opens the tent. It suddenly pops open and covers him. Bluey laughs. Bingo helps Dad untangle himself. Mom calmly stakes the tent into the ground. Dad struggles to light the campfire, blows too hard. Ashes fly onto his face. Bluey fans the fire with her hands. The flame goes out. Bingo carefully adds small sticks. The fire catches. The sky darkens. The family sits around the campfire. Dad tells a story using big, dramatic gestures. Bluey and Bingo laugh and lean in. A gust of wind blows. The fire flickers and almost goes out. Everyone shields it together. The fire burns steadily again. They all relax. The family crawls into the tent. Outside, the campfire glows. Stars sparkle. Inside the tent, their silhouettes laugh together. The ugliest kite. A wide grassy field. A light breeze in the air. The whole family sits in a circle with colored paper, bamboo sticks, and kite string. Everyone eagerly starts making their own kite. The family lines up and runs into the wind. Dad's kite falls. Mom's kite wobbles, then drops. The older sibling's kite tangles and won't lift. The youngest child holds the ugliest kite. Runs a little slower, a bit awkward. Everyone watches, not expecting much. The youngest child's kite soars into the sky. It climbs higher. It flies smoothly and steadily. The youngest child freezes for a second, then breaks into a big smile. The whole family stares in disbelief. They all run over to the youngest. The ugliest kite flies the highest in the sky. The family sits down on the grass, watching it dance in the wind. The youngest hugs the spool of string, full of pride. Everyone smiles gently. The Big Helper. Late afternoon at a campsite. The family unloads camping gear, tent, bags, food box. The kids run around excitedly. From the edge of the forest, a gentle elephant appears. One child holds out a banana/sugar cane. The elephant gently takes it with its trunk. Everyone smiles in relief. The family packs up and gets into the car. The car starts moving. The wheels sink into a muddy puddle. Dad presses the gas. No movement. Mom tries pushing. A shadow appears behind them. The elephant is back. Everyone's eyes widen. The elephant gently uses its trunk or a rope to pull the car. Mud splashes. The car comes free. The family cheers and claps. The child runs over and gives the elephant more fruit. The elephant nods and happily waves its trunk. The car drives away.